Right. Hey, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Happy Sunday. Our gathering for Scully Cheptanad's legacy, Toki's legacy, just continuing to meet. We were just talking about happy 3 years, you guys, to Toki TV. It's been 3 years. We've been
Woohoo!
meeting every week and kind of trying to be that
Yeah.
that space, supportive space for one another. We've done a lot. We do meditations. We've done that. We're talking about possibly doing that again. Christina brought that up, and I think that's needed in this world. And as we continue to stand for Toki's family and the environment and Mother Earth in general. So we'll be talking a little bit more about that. But yeah, it's been 3 years, guys, that I get to say I've had Sunday brunch or lunch or dinner, depending where you're at and where you're watching from, with all of you for 3 years. And I'm really blessed by this and the connection. So that's what I want to say about our 3 years. I'm just really blessed. I said it day one, like, oh my gosh, I'm here live hanging out with my idol Howard, and I'm still hanging out with my idol Howard every single Sunday, which is super cool. And I really am just blessed by the um, friendships that this has opened up, the connections. We've all been doing this for a very long time, but it feels more together. And I know technology and all that kind of stuff has helped with all of that, but we all get to meet and support and be with each other. So I'll let you guys all say what you want to say, but I wanted to say that just is 3 years, and I'm really blessed by the friendships with all of you. Let's check in. Deb Cruz.
Deb Cruz is on mute. Good job on that intro. I mean, even now at this point, I get emotional watching it, and it's bittersweet, and I love it. Thank you for doing that, and thank you for carrying this, Annette, because you've been doing this for the 3 years.
Some of
In
you, Deb
terms of
Cruz.
organizing.
Some
Huh?
of you, some of you, Deb Cruz, and so is Howard. I do want to say that. We knew it was Deb, so I appreciate you too. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah. And Howard and the rest of you as well, but in particular, Annette, because she's carried the ball and carried the load.
Yep.
So thank you, lady. I love you for doing it.
I love you too, Deb Cruz. Thank you. Thank you, Ma. How are you today?
Yeah, all good, thanks. Just got over a nasty virus that I know everybody's had, so voice is still a little bit croaky, but really glad to be here, and I can't believe it's 3 years already. It's just flown over, and what can I say other than we are stronger together, and I love all of you for all your efforts. So, mwah, mwah, mwah.
Love you, Ma. Christina, how's it going?
Good. I'm happy to be here, and I'm like with you, Deb Cruz. Like, I still get emotional every time I see the intro. You know what I mean? I'm just like, oh. But I'm also very grateful for all of you on and off the screen, because this is like, one of my favorite parts of the week is when I get to see all of your beautiful faces, and I get to hang out with the people that are off the screen that really care, about what's going on, and they want to help. And, just being with like-minded people is really, really wonderful. And so, yeah, props to you, Annette, for creating it and making it continue. And Howard and everybody, same thing. I love you.
Toki magic, right? Brought us
Yeah.
together and
Yeah.
kept it going. So, Brandy, how are you? Oh, have you muted? Let me unmute you. Oh, no, you have to unmute yourself.
I muted. Hi, everyone. Same thing. I'm so grateful to be here, and it's an honor, and I look forward to it every week. And I get so excited when I see certain things, like J62 is a girl. I mean, that just and it's like my people will get this joy, and that she's doing really well, and we're what, 2 months in, Howard? Are we 2 months in since since J62 has been born?
Yeah. Well, end of December. So, right, a little over.
Yeah. So I'm just really grateful to be here. Absolutely.
Not quite. Right.
Almost.
Yeah, 6 weeks.
Marcia, how are you?
one is on.
Oh no, the volume is very.
Yeah, we broke temperatures last week. We were in the 90s here, I think, first time recorded on that date in February. And now, after this cold front, we'll be in the 30s. So that's weird. But anyway, everything's good. We just rescued a little puppy. So having fun with that puppy's always bring a lot of joy. And busy writing. So I just want to also say thank you for including me in this pod. You know, I'm honored to be a part of it. So thank you for having me. And I love all you people. You know, I really do feel it deep down. Right? So you're my pod family. So thanks for all of it.
Love you, Marcia. Your volume while we're off or while we're moving on, you might want to, if you don't mind, maybe Q, if he would lend you his phone. Your voice was really, really, really difficult to hear. I think we heard, but we had to kind of lean in, so it sounded a little underwater. And I know you're used to being underwater, but that's not really good for us to hear. So maybe we can work on the volume offline. We have two special guests today. So Howard and Peggy are not guests; they are family. But they both are going to talk today, to present. And I'll tell you, it's really cool to be able to say, well, who do I know that can give, like, a history of the Southern residents at the top of, their head, and try to compile that into 15 minutes. Well, obviously that's Howard. There's no one else that I think could do that. And so I sent a little text and Howard's like, sure, I'll try that. So we're so blessed every time Howard drops knowledge for us, because he knows it. This history is in his head, and he's worked this for so long. So we're really blessed by that. And although you're a host of TokiTV and a regular and a absolute concrete foundation of TokiTV, every time you talk, you're a special guest. And so just really want to say, Howard, it's been a really great 3 years in being family with you, and thank you for today as well. How are you doing?
Oh, well, now I'm doing great. Thank you for that. That was beautiful. I was just trying to warm up to say some of the things that Deb had said and that Christina had said about you, because you have been holding us together and hosting this and coming up with the intro and the outro, and just making us all feel right at home and like family all these years. And it's just been a wonderful experience to have our Sunday brunch time with the family at TokiTV. So I really appreciate everything that you're doing. Yeah, all right. Well, you set the bar pretty high, and I'll try to get there.
You will. You will. I had to set the intro high because that bar's already set with you. Peggy Oki, also here with us today. And Peggy, you came on pretty early on during TokiTV too, and obviously you're no stranger to this family. But let's kind of check in with you, see how you're doing, and then we'll get started with the love letters before we turn it over to Howard. So we're going to turn it over to you now, Peggy. How are you today?
I'm fine, thanks. And I just wanted to say again, as everybody else is appreciating you, thank you so much, Annette, for bringing us all together and keeping us all together through TokiTV and all the things that, all the work that you have been doing to produce this program. And also thank you to everybody who's coming on and viewing and taking actions. And I'm really excited to share an update. And yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's get going with that. And for everybody listening, speaking of all the viewers, hit your share button and share this, because people want to know this update and deadlines, and they're definitely going to want to hear Howard in a few minutes. So if everyone takes a minute on your phone, hit the share button, share it to someone, send it through Messenger or on your page or however you want to do it. And let's get going, Peggy.
Okay, well, I'm happy to share that we are really close to that 73 number we had asked people to help us reach as far as love letters for orcas. And it's really been exciting to see the submissions that people are sending, and I'd like to share a little slideshow that I've sent to Annette of the different images and where they came from. And yeah, so that's not the first one.
They're probably not going to be in order, Peggy, because they just
Oh.
upload like all together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I can.
Or you want to tell me
Uh,
which one? Tell me what.
I don't know who exactly did each one other than the order that they're in, but the person that you just showed, if you want to show that one again, I'll name her. So this is a piece by Jackie Demetro in New York. And I mean, wow. Just seeing these submissions is like people really put their heart and creativity into these messages. And so just so much inspiration and appreciation. Yeah.
Not chum again.
Oh,
Yeah. And then this is one that was received already by Deborah. And it's, somebody, I believe that something created by Ma, huh?
yep.
Yeah, so that's a Ma creation. And and we've got you coming from the UK.
Oh, okay. I think that was one of my friends that wrote a message.
Okay.
Yeah. So she
So
bought
a
the
friend in the
card.
UK. Okay.
Yeah, she bought the card and then dictated a message to me.
Nice.
So that was from her. Yeah.
Nice. So we've got messages that came from just like quite a few countries across the world, and it's wonderful to know that there's love carrying on for Tokite's families, the Southern resident orcas, and it shows. So thank you. Thanks, Ma, for the explanation. Okay, next slide, please.
All right, Peggy, I think I got your order now. I'll try to keep up. Here we go.
Okay. I think that is. Does that look like I think it's from Holland. Yep. That is Joudi Diepenhorst from Holland. Isn't that a beautiful watercolor and message?
Yeah.
Until we extend the circle of life towards all living things, we ourselves will not find peace.
Yep.
Oh, that's quoting Albert Schweitzer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you, Joudi, for this beautiful contribution that I just can't help but think of, envision Washington Governor Bob Ferguson meeting with Deborah and her presenting this big basket full of incredible art with such heart behind it to save the Southern residents. So thank you, Joudi. And that one, I believe, from Seychelles Cloutier,
Yes.
Cloutier Collard from Montreal, Canada. Yeah.
That's lovely.
Yes, we've got Holland and Canada, and then the next one, please. And that is from Girl Scout Troop Hudson Valley, New York.
Yay!
Yeah, isn't that great? And then the next one, please. So that, I think, is Elizabeth Lane from Vancouver Island.
Yes.
Yeah. Just
wow.
It's like to see how much love somebody puts into these, everyone puts into these pieces, and you can see that heart shape between the two orcas. I mean, wow. Really, really just amazing. And to also I feel so good knowing that the people who've created these pieces, they got a lot out of it too, because art is so therapeutic. And whether I say somebody needs therapy or not, it's therapeutic for all of us, especially in these times, and so it's just this time when you can do something that takes you into a different space. And I hope that if anybody hasn't done it, I have exciting news. We've decided to extend the campaign by another week. So we're asking everybody to, if you haven't yet, you still have time to create and send. And there is a digital option, because if you end up saying, well, I don't have time today, but I can do it Wednesday, you can digitally, submit. We have an email address where we're receiving, and then Deborah so kindly offered to print our digital submissions so that they will be hard copies to be delivered to Governor Ferguson. So there's still time, and I hope that people watching will be inspired to express yourself. And even if you don't want to create something as beautiful as some of these pieces, you can still do beautiful work coloring in on the various options. We have about 8 different stationery options available through our webpage. So, and can we continue, please, Annette? We'll show some more. This one was Elizabeth H. from North Carolina, who presented various orcas individual orcas. And that's just it's like so wonderful that somebody said, okay, I want to do ocean sun, I want to do eclipse, I want to do, different ones. And it looks like the person maybe actually cut out some of the orcas from our downloadable stationery and made these creations. So just, just the creativity behind it, it's so beautiful. Yeah. Oh, and that's so sweet. That pink one in the foreground, J42 Echo and 13 other whales are in poor body condition. So this person, knew what was going on, because there's a list that came out in the summer of the orcas that are in BC1 status, which means that they are in poor body condition with 2 to 3 times higher likelihood of mortality. So it's an urgent situation, and I just so appreciate the love that people are showing, the love and the care. So many thanks to Elizabeth H. of North Carolina for this wonderful piece. And next one, please. So this is Irene Schlinning from Austria. She and her daughter did some beautiful pencil drawings that they submitted digitally to us.
Wow.
That one's so there's a depth to that one.
Yeah, there's a lot of energy.
There's a lot of energy in that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. I think this person has a pretty good amount of artistic background. They use eraser technique as well, and yeah, beautiful. Just so much gratitude to everybody who's, you can see every one of these are different, because every person is different, and just acknowledging that all of it is just beautiful art. And next one, please. Christina says magical. So this one is from Lila Tyler, this wonderful collage-like piece. It's so cool. And I don't know where Lila is from, but we've got Lila's in there. It's really neat. Yeah, love it.
All right. We'll go back to this one because I'm going to follow the order now. And we got an artist right there to the right of the picture.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's some of Ma's beautiful work, and Ma, if anybody isn't following her yet, she creates some really beautiful, heartfelt pieces, and she posts them on her Facebook wall. So
they're all on my wall too. Her Facebook on my wall. If you look around,
yeah. Can I just say that
Ma's style is instantly identifiable.
Sorry, Peggy. I just wanted to say, just in case anyone didn't know, that every sale that I sell a piece of artwork is donated to an ocean charity. Usually it's Centre for Whale Research, because let's face it, what would we do without them? We basically have donated so much in the past for a new boat, and it all comes from the sale of my artwork. You get the artwork, and in turn the Centre of Whale Research benefits, and every penny other than postage goes to them. So it's like a triple whammy. So thanks to everyone that's ever bought a piece. It doesn't matter how big or how small, but thank you, because we're helping. So thanks for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you, Ma. Haishka. Okay. This is from Zenny, age 7. Wonderful, wonderful piece. And the pink background with the hearts is the photographic artistic expression of Deborah. These are physical pieces that she's received and took photos of to share with us. So,
really, really.
Yeah.
Wow, I love seeing them from all over the world. It's so beautiful. I mean, like they're from everywhere, you know? That
yeah,
is just
it's
so beautiful.
yeah. I'm, just really moving images and messages for the governor, and I know he's really busy. I recently watched a press conference that he had, and there's a lot going on right now, but I'd love to give him an excuse to look at beautiful art and consider breaching, all the things that he can do towards breaching the dams, which is supporting services and such towards replacing what's going on with the current uses and stuff. So yeah, okay. And I think we've got one more. This is from a friend of mine in Shoreline, and she is a teacher at Evergreen School, and this is from her 7th grade advisory team. She got them all to put present their orca pieces, and she put it together. And yeah, so another, again, different and exciting and just so beautiful, just these messages.
We got a letter as well. I was going to say we have a one more that you sent as well.
Oh yeah, and this is from Carla.
Oh, this is Maria. Maria.
Maria. Oh, Maria. Hey, Maria. Thank you so much. Look at this beautiful handwritten message that she wrote. Yeah, so, of course, it doesn't have to be visual art as far as, a painting or a drawing or something. That's a beautiful letter from Maria. Should we read it or should we?
Yeah, let's read it.
Okay. I'm having to go right up to the screen. A 2022 report from National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, makes it clear that breaching the dams is the only effective path to restoring Chinook salmon runs, which are essential for the survival of SRKW, which is Southern Resident Killer Whales. The Army Corps of Engineers and U.S. senators have the authority to move forward with the dam breaching, and preparations have been in place since 2002. If we do our math, that's 23 years ago. The time for action is now. Furthermore, the Biden administration's recent acknowledgement of the harm these dams have caused to tribal communities adds urgency to address this long-standing issue. I urge you to prioritize dam service replacement projects, advance near-term salmon recovery initiatives, uphold federal commitments to tribes, and fully support the Columbia Basin Restoration Initiative. Your leadership is crucial to
ensuring
that orcas, salmon, treaty rights, and the living northwest and the thriving Northwest communities, economies, and ecosystems are presented for future generations. Thank you for your commitment to those vital issues. Sincerely, Maria Papadopoulos.
Yay, Maria.
Thank you, Maria.
We love Maria.
Yeah. So many thanks to Maria. And then we also have a poem that one of our friends here wrote, and I'm wondering if she would like to read it at this time, and that would be Marcia.
Nice.
Okay, can you guys hear me okay?
It's way better, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hang on, let me bring it up on my computer. All right. It's not a fancy poem. It's kind of quick, but roses are red, violets are blue. There is a tragic story I will share with you. Our beloved orcas are starving with little salmon left. Their babies die so early, leaving mothers bereft. We know how to save them. We know what it takes. We need political will from the governor of Washington state. The salmon can be plentiful again if we breach the Snake River dams. Please help our starving orcas. Their future is in our hands.
Aww.
That's really great, Marcia.
Oh,
Thank you, Marcia. And I'd also like to add that Marcia is a writer and wrote that wonderful book, Unfathomable.
Thank you, Peggy. I appreciate that.
Yeah. If you'd like to maybe just share, a few sentences about your book.
Sure. Yeah, I'm not good at self-promotion, clearly. When I learned about Toki's family was, actually after I had left being with her and I found out the struggles that they were going through. It was life-changing for me to just understand about their struggles. And it really did open the door to so much more work that needs to be done. I lived most of my life not having a clue about the Snake River dams and Toki's family, and I regret that much time, that ignorance. So I'm diligently trying to help others through the book and other means, just learn about them, being down here, and there's people far away from the Snake River, like myself, like you, Peggy. It doesn't directly affect people by me, but if I can tug on some emotions, maybe I can get them to feel, empathy for these families of whales. So yeah, and I write about all of that in the book. And I wanted to also bring up real quick, I don't know if this is out of turn, but we know that the Antibes 2 whales, Wiki and Keijo, they were denied going to Nova Scotia and Japan, which left only Loro Park in the Canary Islands. So now I just saw recently a post today, the Ministry of Environment in France is saying, no, she wants to build a sanctuary somewhere in Europe. With, it looks like Paul Watson is on her side with that and those things. The only thing that worries me is they're starting from scratch, like how much time will that take, I don't know. It sounds good though. They're pulling back from sending them to Loro Park. I hope.
Did it say that, Marcia? Because I didn't see that anywhere. I saw that she wants to urge others to work together for other people who have started sanctuary projects.
Yeah, so I know like there's initiatives in all these countries, not all, there's 3, I think, Greece, Italy, I believe, and maybe Spain, all want to just separately do sanctuaries, from what I understand. So she wants to try to build a coalition to make one.
Right.
But I think
I didn't hear though, Marcia, what I have not heard, and correct me if I didn't read the post right. I didn't hear that she was going to postpone sending them to Laurel Park. All I heard was there's no sanctuary ready and she would urge these other areas. Now, I hope that that's the case, but I didn't hear that in what you tagged me in, that they're going to not send them.
Maybe I read into it with just hopeful vibes on that, but
that's what I read too, though.
Yeah,
that's how I understood it, that they were ruling out Laurel Parky for now anyway, and focusing on a sanctuary in Europe, and it's not totally from scratch. There have been, and I'm way out of date, a few years, but there were some dolphin sanctuaries at least started, one in Greece and one in Italy, that I believe. So I think there's at least, a location, and some of the, infrastructure is in place. Whether that would be suitable for 2 orcas, I don't have the details, but I think at least there's a start there. So that must be what they have in mind.
And those
That's
were what she
good.
mentioned, right? Italy and I think that is what she mentioned, Italy and Greece. So it's probably the ones that because she
There's
said
another country. Pardon?
there's already projects started, and so what she wanted to do is bring everyone together. So I don't know how from scratch. I mean, maybe a location, but Marcy, if you don't mind, this week, would you mind to look into that?
Yeah,
Um,
I kind of planned on snooping as much as I could about that and see. I
yeah,
mean, I feel like at this point, if Whale Sanctuary Project in Nova Scotia is farther along, my sense is the water temperature in Canada would be more beneficial for orcas than the proposed, in Italy and Greece. I feel like the
Probably.
temperature, I did look at water temperature there. The mean water temperature is pretty high, 70s to 80s. And I don't know if Wiki and Keijo have chilled water like Toki did, like through chilling machinery that keeps the water
Right.
cold. But if they do, they won't do well in, 70 and 80-degree water. I wouldn't think.
No.
maybe if you could, if you don't mind, to maybe take that on this week, Marcy, and we can
Yeah,
report back next week, see if we can get
sure. I'm
some
on it.
more information besides just one post because I don't want to
Read
spread
too much.
anything factual. But that's good news that if they are looking elsewhere, we don't want them at Laurel Park. So hopefully, and yes, and whether it's Watson or Well Sanctuary or whoever, like yes, what
Whoever.
she said in the beginning was absolutely right. There is no there is no operable currently running Orca Sanctuary, and that is by far true. So whatever they can do to do that would be fabulous.
Yeah.
So
And
thanks.
then one other real quick thing, and then I'll let whoever else wants to go. I did understand that Morgan is pregnant now, and that is very disturbing. um, so I know that her other calves have not made it very
No.
long, so it's not responsible, in my opinion, for them to allow her to get pregnant again. So I just want to put some vibes out there for her. I don't know how far along she is, but usually
She's
parks.
really
Well,
far
He
along.
looks
She's
really far
super
along.
pregnant, and maybe that's why France decided, oh, we don't, this is
that's what I
not
think too.
cool,
Yeah,
right?
if you're
Mhm.
breeding them now, you're not responsible in housing them because you don't have enough space to keep them apart, for that purpose. So I think that
Right.
hopefully, she does okay, but it's troubling. So
Yeah.
Thank you, Marcia.
Yeah.
I want to, before we close out the love letters, because I want to make sure that we're closing you out, Peggy, correctly. Here's a screenshot of a bunch that Deborah got in the mail.
And there's
So
that one that Annette made.
there's the one I made. Yep. So Deborah has all of those ready to go. I am gonna put the scrolling thing one more time. So Peggy, if you could remind folks again, when do you want these in electronically? If we could just close out with that.
Okay. Either by mail if they can be received by the 21st of February, which is 1 week after Valentine's Day. And there's also the digital option, which is teamcetation@gmail.com. So TEAMCETACEAN@gmail.com. And we'd love to get more of your wonderful pieces, everybody. Just wow. I mean, look at what's in that basket. Just such beautiful art. And look at that gorgeous piece by Annette. So
Beautiful.
thank you, Annette. Thank you, everybody who's submitted so far, and please consider joining in. The thing is that we I think we're likely, because I'm also working with the librarian at the school here where I'm in New Zealand, and she's gonna put out some things to all of the kids that come into the library and some of the teachers, and that's something that somebody can do if you want to work with the librarians or teachers. You can pull these things off pretty quickly. Or just do it on your own and send us some beautiful pieces. The thing is that we asked for 73 to represent the 73 Southern resident orcas at this time. But if we get more, then we can just say, this is what we envision. We want to see 90 Southern resident killer whales within the next couple of years or something. So, everybody's welcome. Let's do this. Thank you so much for participating. Thank you for having me on the show.
Absolutely, guys. There's time, and if you are going to mail it though, like do 2 day or something at this point. If not, take
Yeah,
some pictures
yeah,
until we make sure we get them in and
yeah.
get them over to Deborah. And
And
then
people can, yeah. Oh, I'm
cool.
sorry.
No, no,
And
that's
I'm just,
okay. Ma kind of mentioned about her art, and just there's some pieces that are for sale, guys. And she did mention already that the where the proceeds go. But Ma, do you mind to just give people a quick rundown of how you do it? I mean, because down to the water that you use is very meaningful.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Annette. Yeah. So basically, I'm connected to these animals, these spirits, and they push me to do this work. So I'm just like the middleman. But everything that I use is cruelty free. So I know a lot of people don't realise that some artists' canvas and papers are actually sealed with what's called sizing, and that is like a glue, like a varnish, and that is a derivative of animal products. So they boil down the intestine and gut, and that's how you get sizing for paper that is used in artwork all over. And it was a shock to me to realise that. So I'm very careful in what I use. All my brushes are synthetic. My paints are actually derived from the ground. And talk about high vibration. They literally jump out of the tubes. They can't wait to get on the paper. And I am in the zone, as people say, when I'm painting. I'm totally zoned out to everything else and completely connected to these animals. Everything that I do, I don't take anything for myself. I don't take any funds for any of my artwork, that any frames or the stuff that I need, the products that I need, the likes of paper, paints, brushes. That's my contribution to them. And then the artwork is made. I use Reiki all the time in everything that I do, and there are hidden Reiki sigils and healing messages in each piece. Usually, there's a message on the back of each piece of artwork as well that is specific to that piece. And then, whoever buys it, the total sale is donated to a specific ocean charity, usually Centre for Whale Research, and the only thing that isn't used from the sale is the postage, basically. So it's win-win. You get a lovely piece of artwork that is really special and probably was made for you. It was meant to go to you. And that's what happens when people buy a piece. I just get the feeling that it was meant for that person. And then the money is donated to the charity. And I always put the receipts up on my page so people can see how much people paid for the artwork and how much was donated to the charity. So there's no sort of question as to where the money goes. So every piece, I've got tons. I've got tons here always. And if anybody would like to buy anything, there's plenty to choose from, and you can see everything on my Facebook page or my website, which is markfortheoceans.com.
Awesome.
Thanks.
We've got some talent here. Mothfortheoceans.com. Marcia's got Marcia Henton. Is it .com or .org? Marcia? Oops, I have you muted. I'm sorry.
Yes. Oh, that's the whole name, marciahensondavis.org.
.org. Okay, so books, blogs, following Marcia Maz. You can check out all her healing work and all that kind of stuff. So there's some super talent on here. For the art, thank you, Peggy and Christina and Deborah Toro and everyone who contributed and sent in these Valentines. He's gonna love it. And I got it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, and again, I would just want to acknowledge Madison O'Connell for all of the work that she's been doing on the digital end of things and web page and posts and things. So
Thanks,
it takes a
Anne.
village. So thank you everybody who's involved and everybody who's contributed.
Awesome. Thanks, Mads. We appreciate you. We'll have you on. I want her to come on too. All right, Howard. I had a big order with short notice today, but I thought, we're all here for the Southern residents. We're all here fighting for the Southern residents. A lot of new folks. So I thought, what if we just did like an overview, right? And I know that's a lot to ask in a short time frame.
Oh, it's
But
a wonderful assignment.
sneak peek overview, and then we can have another one where it's longer and more detailed.
Oh, well, it's such an open-ended assignment, the history of Southern residents. I mean, where do I start? I could start with once upon a time, the dinosaurs walked the earth, but I don't think we want to go back that far. But I do find it fascinating. And I learned this from a talk that Ken gave. My brother Ken gave about the Snake River dams, but of course he went into the whole long geological history. And I learned a few things, and that was that originally there were only the mammal eaters, transients, the bigs, killer whales were the only ones in the North Pacific. And then sometime over the last couple of 100,000 years, and I'm not going to know the exact dates, but there were interglacial periods when there was a path of water from the Atlantic to the Pacific. And some of apparently the herring eaters or maybe Atlantic salmon eaters came across and started to colonize the North Pacific. And over the course of time, however much time, I don't know, as the glaciers came and went and the salmon came and went and were in great numbers and huge abundance in different locations, they distributed themselves across the North Pacific Rim, so that now there are 5 completely distinct and separate communities of fish-eating resident type orcas, starting from the Russian Far East, the Kamchatka, Hokkaido, the Sea of Okhotsk, the Russian coast, and then there's the Western Alaskan and the Bering Sea residents, and then there's the Prince William Sound and Gulf of Alaska residents, and then there's the northern residents, and the furthest south are the southern residents. And when they did that and in what way they arranged that, I just think it's important to keep in mind in this whole time that they did that deliberately, consciously, knowingly. They are aware of other communities. They know their history. And actually it was when JPod came into Penn Cove and L25 Ocean Sun brought her family in and showed them what happened there and where it happened, and they performed ceremonies about that. That told me what is really pretty obvious, except there is no scientific source for this. This is not established science, that she could have told them that is in their capability. But what that tells me is that they can share their history down the generations. So it's entirely plausible that the Southern residents have a sort of a collective cultural memory of these days when the Southern residents came into the North Pacific and settled in the different communities. But anyway, they did, and they respect each other's areas, and yet they all share the same prey, the same food source. But what I also think is really fascinating, and again, I don't have any scientific source for this, but it dawned on me, I put it together in my head, it's obvious to me that they shared these waters with the indigenous people who also settled along the land, but who traveled by canoe everywhere they went. So they were on the water with the whales. I've said this on TokiTV. This is my place where I can propound these theories that make perfect sense if you put it all together. But I can't cite a scientific source because this is not established. But it's obvious to me. It's parsimonious. It's Occam's razor. It's, when you put two and two together, this is what you get. And that is that there were relationships with all the indigenous peoples, with certainly, what are now all of them, and over 10,000 years at least, that the southern residents have had human companions and have known them and have grown up with them and shared their family histories, communicated non-verbally, I suppose, but were able to relate to the people. So they have a long history of human relationships in these waters. So then, and the salmon were abundant, absolutely, abounding everywhere you looked. So they had luxury, they had lots to eat. But that began to end as the colonizers hit the West Coast and began to overfish and destroy habitat with logging, with all of the side effects, with the diking, with the damming of the rivers. And that cut back the number of salmon for especially the southern residents who are in an urbanized area. There's, I don't know the current count, but if you count all of the urban areas in Canada and the US, like 8 or 10 million people. Somebody may have a better count, but anyway, they're basically under the gaze of people all around, and all of that industry and that history for the last 150 years has depleted their food source tremendously. So where there used to be probably at least 200 southern residents, 200 to 300 is the usual optimum size of orca communities around the world. So that's probably what it was for thousands of years. And then it began to go down. And then in 1964, Moby Doll was harpooned and dragged into shore as a model for a sculpture, but lived for 2 months. And in that time, they discovered he was a male, for one thing, but also that he was a chatterbox, that he was constantly communicating, and they could feel that was a real kind of language. And he was studied by acoustics experts and recorded for that time, and he was communicating with other whales that were 2 miles away. They didn't want to come any closer, but he was communicating with them. And they learned from that he was social, that he was eager to relate, that even though he was mortally wounded and it did kill him, that he still seemed to have no grudge, no harsh feelings. He wanted to relate to people. And that in a big way, it got a lot of media, and at least regionally, and for people who tuned in, it really opened eyes that these are very, very congenial. They're eager to get to know you, to build a relationship. And so that changed a lot of people's hearts and minds from the attitude they had before, where, well, just the fact that Moby Doll was harpooned to be a model for a sculpture shows how dispensable they were. People just didn't really think that they should be in these waters anyway. Apparently they were shooting at them, so it started to change that attitude. But then of course they became gold at the in the marine parks, and so they began to be captured. So that in Namu a year later started the whole capture operation. And the southern residents were the prime targets because they were accessible. They were not that hard to find. And so for 10 years until 1976, they were just brutally captured using bombs in the water, which was very effective at hurting them, but also hurting them, at actually injuring their ears, because it's so powerful when you put an explosive in the water. It hits like a sledgehammer. So about 45 or 50 were lost over 10 years. And that was a whole age cohort, a whole generation, a 10-year gap in the population that was just snatched away. So the studies began in response to that, first on the Canadian side. In 1971, Mike Bigg was contracted to count them. How many are there? How many more can be taken? And nobody knew how to count them. So he did it like a Christmas bird watch and count, and sent out a whole lot of petitions and, or questionnaires for people to send in when they saw whales, and got a rough count of about 300, including northern residents, southern residents, and transients, although nobody knew that there was any difference at that time. It was just how many total whales there were. And that was fairly accurate. And then Ken, my brother Ken Balfour, got the contract in 1976 to count the whales for NOAA. And he confirmed everything that Mike Bigg had learned. And Mike learned it by devising the method of photo identification. Nobody knew how to do that until he took pictures of them and realized that he could identify each individual from the photos, and that you could get a complete demographic survey of the entire population that way. And so he, and in 76, along with Ken, did that, and got that count at that time of about 80 or 81 in 1976. And they, after the captures, that was the end of the captures. And so it increased after that. They went on a birth spurt, and a whole lot of new babies were born over the next 10 years. And then there was a drop off in the mid 80s or so. And then it climbed back up from the late 80s until 1995. The population increased to almost 100. The official count was 98. But in 1995 was the beginning of the die-offs. And over the next 5 or 6 years, about a 20% drop in the population. So it went under 80, about 78 in 2001, and that triggered the petitions to list them as endangered under the Endangered Species Act. And they came back up to mid 80s. I think it was 88 in 2005 when they were listed officially, but it began to drop off since then. And it's down to where there are 73, as Peggy has noted. it's mainly come from LPod. LPod has been the pod that has fluctuated the most. KPod has dropped some. JPod has maintained fair equilibrium. And now with J62, hopefully she will grow up and have babies and begin to add more to the whole community. So I don't know what else I could fill out. There's a population chart on the Center for Whale Research under orcas. If you go to whaleresearch.com, you can find a good population chart that shows through 2024 the populations of all three pods. But numbers are numbers, but they're struggling to find enough to eat. I will say that that encounter on February 8th, where they came up the west side of San Juan Island and were within view of the lime kiln webcam for a couple of hours as they very slowly proceeded sort of toward Victoria. And the Center for Whale Research did get out with them for a couple of hours, and they report that they were all there and all looking good, looking, pretty fat and robust. So JPod is doing okay. They've been spending a lot of time in Georgia Strait, where K&L pods tend to be out at the west end of the Strait of Juan de Fuca, out on the strait on Swiftsure Bank, actually. But they probably also go down the coast, down to the mouth of the Columbia to pick off the salmon. So far, so good. They seem to be in a state of equilibrium. They're not growing. They're not depleting. They're not losing population. So they seem to be doing okay. So, well,
awesome.
over 2:00, but
that's okay. We do what we want. It's good.
Yeah. So does anybody have any comments or questions? Yeah, Marcia?
I read about that the chum population was a bumper season for them. Yeah, but not much Chinook, but so I know it takes a lot more energy to hunt these fish, but do you think that is enough to sustain them in the absence of Chinook a little bit? Like what's the difference in the fish as far as their consumption, do you think?
Well, JPod was in here from October 19, with the exception of 5 days when LPod was in here. When LPod went to Penn Cove, they left, but then they came back on November 5th and stayed here for most of November. So they did feast on those chum, apparently, and they are looking good, except for, of course, the loss of J61. But overall, at least, yeah. A little fish hat.
Salmon hat.
Yeah.
Well, like this cartoon says, not chum again for dinner, but
right. I know. Well, they probably got tired of it because they're smaller and they're lower, calories and nutrients.
Fat. I thought it was the fat in the Chinook that they really need bad.
Exactly. Those omega-3 fatty acids that are brain food,
Yeah.
So they're the best possible food, and there's not so much in chum or coho or steelhead as there is in Chinook. So the Chinook are by far the best for them. But I guess they made up for the quality by quantity, by just having so many.
Well, Sylvia has a question. The pods that migrate further, is this why they are doing better?
Well, I don't know that they're really migrating further. This is just sort of their home habitat. Their critical habitat includes the Washington coast, up and down the coast, and even down into Oregon. And there have been occasions when they've gone to California. but I don't know where they're finding or what they're finding exactly. But they seem to be finding enough anyway, that by all counts, they're maintaining. But 73 is a really low number, and with the scarcity of adult males, there's not a lot of, there's a real, at least a history. There has been a time with very few. There's more now. There's a whole uh, host of L-pod males that have come up, and a couple of JPod males too. So there's more now, but there's been times when there's been a lot of inbreeding, and that uh, there's no real sign that that has caused any problems. And we don't know what causes the miscarriages, except for lack of nutrition, lack of food. But there could be a connection between the inbreeding and the lack of reproductive success, uh, but we don't know for sure. But otherwise, there's really no sign. There's no kind of deformities or any outward sign that there's any you know inbreeding problem that is happening. But it is known to happen. Um, so anyway, a larger population would be healthier, just more diversity in the gene pool. So, they really do need to grow more, and we need to bring down those dams. Every bit of restoration helps, and there's been so much really over the last 8 or 10 years since the task force in 2018. There have been 3 smaller dams that have come down, but there's been a whole lot of other habitat destruction in a lot of different ways. So there's what's the net sum, whether it's been any improvement or not, we don't know. But they're finding something to eat, at least for 73 whales. They seem to be finding enough to eat over the last couple of years, for the most part, except the real way to tell is in their reproductive rate. They should be having 2 or 3 healthy babies every year, and we're lucky if there's one. J62 is the first one since a year before that, when L128 was born, who is still doing okay. No, wait a minute. No, she died, L128. So there are still very big problems. Yeah.
And there's a question on the screen, and yeah, it's a brilliant question. Why doesn't the government countries proactively protect the orcas as an endangered species now that the numbers have dwindled? These numbers have been like this for a while, and kind of how Howard said, there has been some work, there has been some restoration, but at the same time, there's also been more destruction. As we all know, the Snake River dams are not the only threat. We do know that, because I hear people talk about, us, and they only say this, they only say the dams, but that's the biggest one, and yeah, we're aware that there's other threats, noise pollution and all of that. Of course there is. But if they had the food, they would have the strength to combat some of these other threats that may not be as detrimental to them as not having their food source. So, yeah, that's a really good question. Thank you for
it's a matter of priorities. What are our values? I mean, the dams could come down. It would be inconvenient for a while, and they would have to change the way that they've been shipping grain and irrigating, but that's only been going on for 50 or 60 years. So it's not like they never lived without the dams. They could.
Yeah. Christina?
Can I just say something? And I just would like everyone that's on and off the screen to do me a favor, and every time you wash your hands, to visualize that the dams are coming down and J62 is living a long, long life.
And having babies of her own. Yes.
Every time you wash your hands, visualize that. Every time, please.
Yep.
It's powerful.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Thank you, Howard, for that. Again, I think that's we could do another 3 years with just the history of the Southern residents. We could do another 3 years
Yeah.
of TV shows. But thank you for kind of summarizing that, because I want to take that piece and just kind of record that and share that, because I think for folks just to have an overview. You know, a lot of people who are new to joining the fight and stuff. And a couple of things you mentioned is obviously go to Center for Whale Research. To the webpage, and there's lots of information on there, and you guys can go and check that out. So it's whaleresearch.com. But yeah, you can do all kinds of stuff on this website. And you know, there's Ken, it talks about the 49 years of research. Lots of great information, different actions you can take, all the encounters. So you'll have an encounter map, and then, you know, pictures. If you guys haven't gone to the Facebook page to look at some of the recent pictures, beautiful and really good to share. And then also on YouTube, if you guys go to YouTube and go to, hold on, I'm trying to get there real quick. You can see this, and you'll be able to see the encounters that you know just happened on the 8th, like Howard talked about. And there's Center for Whale Research out. Whoops, going in and out of focus there, but there they are. That's where your money is going, to protect and research and gather information. And if you were to buy some of Ma's beautiful paintings, if you don't know how to find her, you're not friends with her on Facebook, you can hit us up as well. But all proceeds go to this kind of work. So there's a lot of good stuff happening out there, guys, that we can support. We just had a Galentine's yesterday, and I want to share this. This was my Galentine gift. See if I could do this. And it says, Happy Galentine's Day. For your gift, I donated $40 in your name to Orca Network. So that was my Galentine gift yesterday, because Orca Network's doing such fabulous work. Center for Whale Research, Wild Orca, you know, protecting and saving these whales. So if anyone didn't give you a Valentine gift, Orca, really cool donate button on their page is very easy to do. Brandy, go ahead, Brandy.
And I was also going to say too, I mean, I'm sure most people know about this, but if they don't, you can adopt a whale, you know, and you can get all this. My daughter did that for me for Christmas, and I cried. It was probably so beautiful. It was loaded with so much information. She adopted Ocean Sun for me. And it's great because all of that goes back in to the Center for Whale Research. And it's you know, it's another way of, you know, you know, just getting back out. Birthday drives, you know, everyone has
I have to comment. It actually doesn't go to the Center for Whale Research.
It doesn't? Oh,
I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to say it.
I was so excited. Well, I was saying, like, for birthday drives, that's why, like, you know, in lieu of gifts, I was like, please donate to Orca Network. I would rather, you know, I don't want cards, I don't want gifts. Donate to Orca Network. I thought it was the same thing. Okay. Well,
Many people do, I know, but no, they split ways 23 years ago.
oh, okay, good to know. Good to know.
Yeah, more.
Maybe we can do an adopt a TokiTV person. I don't know.
Or you know, or maybe we could do like a, you know, we have St. Patrick's Day coming up, and you know, and instead of buying a beer, you know, donate $5 to Orca Network.
There you go. We'll come up with some. Maybe we'll do something on our 3-year. We've done some cool stuff, guys. I've been really busy though this year. I know it's a lame excuse, but I really have been. But we've had some pretty cool shows where we've given gifts and celebrated our time together, because it's a really tough time, you guys, right now for a lot of folks. And it's been a really tough time for the Southern residents for a very long time. And where we can find joy, let's find joy, you know, and when we can celebrate the good work that people are doing, like the books Marcy has written and her blogs is really informative. You know, the artwork that Ma's doing, the healing work that Christina does. I mean, it's just fabulous what everyone's up to. And if we can support each other, in my eyes, we're supporting them, because all of us give towards and our energy and our, you know, financial contributions and everything. I mean, that's my tithe, right? And so, because that's where I'm spiritually fed. So whatever we can do to support each other, we're supporting them. So let's keep doing that. I really, really love you guys. This is such a great group, and the folks watching, thank you for those who are watching on Facebook and YouTube. I'm told I really need to figure out how to get this on StreamYard. So I will get my daughter, I mean, not StreamYard, Instagram. So I will get my daughter to help me with that. And because I am officially of the age where I need younger assistance on some of the newer technology.
Don't we all?
Not afraid to admit it either. So, but yeah, anybody else have anything to say before we want to close? We're a little over, but I really appreciate it. And Howard, just man, such knowledge. Thank you so much for sharing it. And I will always donate to Orca Network and encourage others, because Howard's here dropping knowledge every single week just because, and because he wants to save the whales too. So appreciate you guys. Anybody got anything you want to say before we close? Marcia, Ma, Christina's sending hearts. Lots to say all the time, but doesn't look like it this time. All right. I love you guys a lot. And don't forget the scrolling thing there, teamcitation@gmail.com. We're getting kind of close to mailing stuff out. So if you don't mail it out tomorrow, please take a picture and send that or email that to teamcitation@gmail.com for Governor Ferguson. And thank you again, Peggy and Christina, for all your work on that, and Mads and Deborah, everybody. Appreciate you guys. All right, we're going to close out. Peace out.
Peace out.